First, I'm going to talk a bit about Superman. First, we're going to talk about the trailer that came out.
Yes.
Superman trailer. Initial thoughts when I was watching it, I think were more positive. I've gotten a little more skeptical since then. But when I first saw it, I see a battered and broken Clark lying in the snow, and I see him whistle, and I say, and that's not a dog. They're not going to do crypto, dude. You know they're not going to do crypto. They'll never do crypto. And then I see something running towards them. It's probably some alien or something. And I was like, it's crypto. And I got very happy to see crypto. That's my one thing. I wish this could just be a movie about Superman, crypto. Lex Luthor can be the villain. You have a romance.
Now,
there's your movie.
This
there's your extra character that you can have as crypto. It's about time. I like crypto, and he's never really been featured heavily in a lot of media.
This scene that they're showing us.
What is this?
It clearly takes place in the Fortress of Solitude. So I have to assume, I can't imagine what else that robot would be other than Kellex.
Because Superman has a robot, correct? Didn't he build a robot? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and Kellex is like a servant robot that
like an Alfred, basically.
His father, that served his father, then served him. Not to be confused with the various Superman robots that he made over time to act as decoys and things like that. These humanoid-looking things. So I don't know. That's what this could be, or because it sure doesn't look like Kellex that I've seen in the comics, but.
Unless it's some Lex Luthor droid or something. I don't know what any of this is. See, here's the problem.
It looks like he's concerned over it, as if he's got some feelings about it. So that's what led me to think that. But
you don't open a trailer with Superman bloody and beaten. That trailer. We're going to talk about that.
Yeah. So if
we got articles about that. Yeah.
If you saw the thumbnail for tonight, I think you kind of got where I stand on this. I had, across the top, Superman 2025 with, the script that they've given us. And what were all the pictures? It was Guy Gardner, Hawk Girl, Crypto, Mr. Terrific, and then bloody beaten Superman down in the corner. And look, if you're going to give us a teaser trailer for a movie called Superman, you don't fill it with all the ancillary characters. What this tells me very loudly and clearly, whether this is the case or not, this is the message they are sending. This movie is not really a Superman movie, despite what we called it. Superman is ancillary. He's a supporting character. We're building our DC universe with this movie. This is a commercial for all the future stuff we're going to do. And that's why every time I've talked about this on social media, I've said hashtag Marvel mistakes. They're doing the exact same things that have ruined Marvel.
I'm worried. Warner Brothers, in my opinion, they don't get a grace period from me anymore. They've made too, and not just with DC. They've made mistakes just in general as an entertainment company.
Oh yeah,
they have been turning out crap for a while. I mean, I didn't see the Beetlejuice sequel. I guess that was all right, but
Darth Plato is 100% right, because they're aiming for a DCU movie, not a Superman movie. And my problem with that is, I don't even really have a problem with that. That's fine. Then call it Justice League, or call it whatever team name that they're actually doing. Call it Maxwell Lord Industries or whatever. If you're going to call it Superman, you make it a damn Superman movie.
I'm tired of Maxwell Lord. I feel he's one of these supervillains that they keep throwing out there that I'm supposed to be impressed with. You have Lex Luthor. There's your villain in the movie. And to be fair, Nicholas Hoult looks good as Lex Luthor. I was surprised.
Yeah, he does.
He's pulling it off.
Matanui makes another great point. That was the same mistake they made with BVS. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And it's the mistake that Marvel's been making ever since the Avengers. Because up to the Avengers, every superhero got their own movie with some little, lore building, universe building.
I did feel Iron Man 2 had Iron Man 2 had stuff kind of crammed in it too, but
And that's where it started to go wrong. Then by the time you get to Captain America and the Winter Soldier, that is not a Captain America movie. That's a friggin' Avengers movie.
Well, wait a minute. Are we talking about Civil War or Winter Soldier?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. No, okay. I meant Civil War.
Yeah, because because I'll say this: Winter Soldier, yes, it's
see, they're running together in my mind now.
Yeah, but at least with Winter Soldier, yes, you have Falcon, but he's a known friend of Cap's in the comics. It makes sense for them to be there. Black Widow's there. I think they're lending support to Captain America rather than overshadowing his own movie. You know,
and when you consider the source material, you are talking about characters that absolutely were supporting characters in the Captain America line, right? I mean, for a long time, the Falcon was his Bucky Barnes when there was no Bucky Barnes.
Yeah, I agree with you, Matanui. But yeah, let's get into the articles now, shall we? This is the post reveal. This was
Wait a minute. I'm sorry. I haven't been dropping. I haven't dropped.
It's okay.
I didn't even drop the
trailer. Yeah, put the trailer in there.
I meant to drop the trailer.
Has anyone not watched the trailer yet?
If you haven't, let me just. This is what we're talking about. It sounds like
we were talking about the trailer. I tried finding a picture that's not in one of the articles. That's why I got the robot here, because it wasn't featured anywhere.
That's fair. But now we're going to get into this
trailer. I'll say this: there was like a teaser trailer. It was like 30 seconds, which I think had footage that wasn't in the main trailer. Like I saw Cat Grant in the like the 30-second one, which I thought. I mean, I will say this: the characters, at least looks wise, a lot of them did look comic accurate. I mean,
most of them. I mean, except of course, Perry Black.
They didn't show him in the trailer though. I noticed that. But James Gunn,
which to me is just a bait and switch. It's like, well, we won't show you this thing because it might bother you that we're continuing with this recasting.
I know. Let me see. Here we go. Yeah, so this is James Gunn's Superman debut's first poster that nods to Christopher Reeve's Man of Steel. The wait for the first Superman trailer is almost over. James Gunn's Superman, starring David Cornsweet as the new Man of Steel, will release on Thursday at 6 a.m. Pacific time. Well, we know that. We watched it. Anyway, but Warner Brothers announced on Monday fans got a new look at the superhero with a motion poster that paid homage to Christopher Reeve's iconic version of Superman. The poster depicts Cornsweet's Superman gazing upwards as he takes flight. Yeah. The reds, blues, and yellows of his costume blur into the background of the motion poster, creating an eye-catching high-speed effect that makes it seem like Cornsweet's zooming into the sky. The tagline reads, "Look up." Gunn's Superman, formerly titled Superman Legacy, will hit theaters July 11th. I'll say this. The poster looks good. Oh, I did want to read this last blurb. Sorry. It gives the cast. It's the first film released under the new DC Studios, overseen by Gunn and Peter Safran. Cornsweet stars along Rachel Brosnahan as Lois Lane. Lois Lane should be in a Superman movie. Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor. That's fine. Isabella Marquette as Hawkgirl. Eddie Gathegi as Mr. Terrific. Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner, the Green Lantern. Anthony Kerrigan as Metamorpho. Skylar Gizondo as Jimmy Olsen. Jimmy Olsen should be in the movie, yes. We have a lot of characters here. Now, I don't know if Metamorpho is going to be used as the villain or the adversary in the movie, I should say, because I don't know if he's a standard villain.
I should think not. I'll bet you he's probably in the same superhero team as Hawkgirl and Guy Gardner and Mr. Terrific. You'll notice they're wearing uniforms that look very similar. And somebody in the one of the commentaries said that that's the costume of Lord Enterprises, superhero team or whatever. It's like a proto Justice League International type of thing. And I'm like, okay.
I'd love to see a Justice League International movie.
I would too, but this isn't the way you introduce it. Not in a Superman movie. And you don't have Superman International until you have Justice League of America.
Now, this is what I'll say in defense of James Gunn. I do believe that he is being forced to put these characters in this movie. I think he probably was just going to do a standard Superman movie. But I don't know. Maybe
I
this
think
was
you're
Gunn's
being a little
idea.
generous
I'm
because
probably being generous just based on what I'd heard, though. That's all.
because I honestly
It's the
don't believe there's anybody above him in Warner Brothers who even knows who any of those characters are to say you got to get Guy Gardner and Metamorpho in there. This is him.
You got a point.
This is him setting up his niche little ensemble thing that he does. This is what he does. You look at the monster series that he did. You look at Guardians of the Galaxy. You look at Suicide Squad. That's James Gunn. And he's doing it again. And I was afraid this was going to happen. He can't just do Superman. He's got to do his.
He likes ensembles.
Ensemble stories.
But
here's the thing: get his wife into and his buddy and his and his attorney and stuff involved in.
This is what I don't understand though. Superman is ensemble. You have Perry White, you have Jimmy Olsen, you have other reporters, including a prominent black character reporter from the Superman that they could have in there. You have you have Lex Luthor. You could have other villains. You can have your ensemble already in a Superman cast. Characters that we love like old friends. So I don't know why we need and I'll be blunt, if it was one superhero making a cameo, I'd probably let it go. It's just that we have so many of them in this.
And I've already heard about some of the Easter eggs. I absolutely have no problem with Easter eggs. Apparently several different people are reading magazines and newspapers that are talking about a situation that's going on in, and I forget the name of the fictional European country, which I am certain is going to be a reference to Ukraine. I can guarantee you it. And it's supposed to have something to do with Gorilla Grodd, which in turn implies a future appearance by the Flash. And I'm going, okay, great. That makes perfect sense if that's the thing that you're leading up to.
He's my favorite DC supervillain, Gorilla Grodd.
Very good character. Yeah, yes. Absolutely.
Guy Gardner is Gunn's new Peacemaker. Oh, but Darth Plato, he's not getting rid of Peacemaker.
Yeah.
John Cena's Peacemaker will be part of this universe. And there was another YouTuber who I don't always agree with his takes, but he was making a point that he did not like Gunn for this because he said people forget Gunn's in charge of that Peacemaker show. And there was a scene where Peacemaker makes a joke to Aquaman, or not even they say stop blanking the fish, And then Aquaman, and it's Jason Momoa saying, I hate that rumor. And then Ezra Miller Flash, it's a rumor. And he's saying this is supposed to be family entertainment. That sort of thing shouldn't be in a family show with these family favorite characters. So, and I also didn't like what he said the other week about how you're going to have R-rated fare in this universe, but then the family friendly stuff. I think it's one or the other. I don't know. I don't quite
it's
get
incredibly, and this is what I've said about these kinds of things. It is so short-sighted. We can't get past this postmodern deconstructionism that people want to do with the superheroes. They're literally dealing with fantasy stories about a man who can fly and shoot laser beams out of his eyes, and they want it to be gritty and realistic. There is nothing realistic about it, and you don't go to fantasy for realism. If I wanted realism, I'd watch a drama or even a historical piece.
Now I have an image of Clark Kent and Porky's using his X-ray vision to peek on the girls in the shower room or something.
Yeah.
And then him destroying the Porky's establishment instead of them tying it to cars, he could just knock it over, right? This is not good.
It boggles the mind. And this is the same thing that I've been saying about all these franchises. Even if they're doing it in good faith for the fans, if you are writing it just for the fans, just for the adult fans, Superman and these characters have always been maintained at the same age, dealing with the same level of stories. They're not supposed to age up with the audience. They're supposed to bring in the new audience all the time. There's all this talk about, the modern audience, the modern audience, the modern audience. You know who the modern audience is? The next damn generation.
The kids.
So don't make it all R-rated. Make it accessible to the kids. The kids will buy the toys. The kids will love these characters. And then when they're adults, they'll bring their kids to see.
You need to be focusing on a child should be able to go into this movie and enjoy it. I would be aiming for a PG, not even a PG-13. But
yeah,
what do I know? Let's move on, though. This is, of course, the image. This is the next article when you want to throw it on there.
Oh, yeah.
But this is from the they want to deconstruct the heroes we love because they don't like them or believe in them. I want to say something else, too. Are the wackos still in charge over DC Comics? Has that changed yet? Because they're all talking about we have to get everything in line. Has anyone brought the hammer down over at DC yet?
I presume it's all the same people, but I do believe that they are acquiescing a lot more to Gunn. I think Gunn has been kind of Warner Brothers. That's the one thing I can say that Warner Brothers is insisting. You know what? We need one vision. It's James Gunn. I think it's a bad choice, but at least they're standing behind him and saying, you know what, guys? This is what we're doing. Better get on board with it.
Yeah. So this is the article. Superman is bruised and bloody in first trailer as James Gunn shares secrets from set. Superman is at a low point when audiences first glimpse him in the trailer for his new movie. Bloody and bruised, he crash lands in a frozen landscape. His breathing is labored, like he's got fluid in his lungs or maybe some broken ribs. Then there is hope on the horizon in the form of his trusty friend Crypto. Take me home, Superman says to his canine friend later in that part of the trailer I did like. I will admit that I do like.
I mean, you're always gonna tug at my heartstrings when the good boy comes along and is there to help.
And I think Crypto has been severely underused. I would have liked to have seen him in other Superman media over the years. He should have been the extra superhero in the movie, the extra character. That should have been Crypto.
I
instead
agree.
Of all these
100%.
other ones. Yes.
And what they're failing to see here, I think they're going to start getting it from the reactions that I'm hearing from fans. Crypto is going to be the Grogu coming out of this movie. He's going to be heavily marketed. He's going to be the thing that everyone's going to be positive about. Even when they're dumping on everything else about this movie, it's going to be Crypto. And I'm going to say rightly so. Hopefully they get the right message out.
But people shouldn't have to dump on anything in the movie. And everyone I listen to, even people that are positive or negative, whatever, they all say the same thing. All walks in the internet. They're all saying the same thing. Why are all these characters in this movie? Everyone is saying it. But let's get back to what I was talking about. Okay, so it's one of the only two spoken lines in the piece. The other is a young boy, eyes closed, holding a makeshift flag, who mutters Superman, Superman in desperate hope. But it's a line that points to the hope writer, director James Gunn wants to be in this film. Created in 1938, Superman for decades embodied his motto, truth, justice, and the American way, with the character serving as a symbol for the good things American could represent for the world. That notion has become more complicated in recent years, leading the DC to officially drop the motto in favor of truth, justice, and a better tomorrow in 2021. It's weird because I remember being on a stream once a long time ago saying to me, Superman kind of represented a better tomorrow to me. I don't know if somebody ripped me off. Probably not. It's probably just a coincidence. But during a trailer launch event for this press on Monday on the Warner Brothers lot in Burbank, Gunn was asked how he incorporated the decency Superman can represent for America and the rest of the world in the movie. I think that's what Take Me Home is all about, Gunn said. We do have sort of a battered vision of Superman at the beginning, and I think that is our country. I believe in the goodness of human beings, and I believe that most people in this country, despite their ideological beliefs or their politics, are doing their best to get by and trying to be good people, despite what it may seem like for the other side, no matter what the other side might be, continued Gunn.
So when I first heard this, I took it at face value, and I'm like,
all right.
Okay, sure, I understand that. That makes sense. That actually is true.
Yes.
Then I thought more about it, specifically about what Gunn has said about politics for the past 4 to 8 years.
Yes.
And I realized he means specifically one specific side. And this, for all intents and purposes, is another shot across the bow at one specific side of the ideological spectrum. and more division, despite what he's saying. I'm sorry, you can't take back what you've already said, what we know you've already said, with generalities.
Yeah, and I'm not quite sure. America battered and bruised, and I'm thinking, are we battered and bruised? I don't really know what he's referring to exactly. I know we had those riots years ago, which was unpleasant, but I don't really know what he's referring to here.
See, they consider those to be protests. Those are okay.
Well,
it was what happened 4 years ago that was bad to them.
Oh, yes, I know. So maybe that's what he's referring to, the political divide, which I think we're all wanting to get past at this point. But maybe not all of us. Maybe certainly not people in Hollywood. There is much writing.
And so the folks over at Midnight's Edge and WD, I think it was WDW Pro himself who specifically said this, was saying, look, it's very clear that he's got there's a villain character. Apparently it's this either Ultraman or whoever he is that we saw. Yeah, there's a character that you see in the teaser dressed all in black with a hood and goggles, which kind of evokes a little bit of what Doomsday looked like before he reveals himself.
How many characters are in this movie?
And he's got a U symbol on his chest, which people say evokes the Superman from the evil universe.
Are you kidding me?
Which is Ultraman.
You're kidding me.
No,
they're not going to bring Ultraman into this, I hope.
No, I don't think so.
Let's stop with the multiverse stuff. Let's stop with the multiverse stuff. All right.
Look, I don't know any more than you do, Boomer. I'm just telling you what I think.
No, it's okay. You're
based on my knowledge of the comics. I think that this is actually a character that makes sense if the theory is correct.
All right.
Who's our main villain? Our main villain is Lex Luthor. Lex Luthor doesn't, go fight Superman.
No.
He creates things to fight Superman.
Right.
So what is one of the things he creates? Bizarro, right?
Oh, okay.
And in the comics, Bizarro starts out as an attempt at a clone of Superman.
All right.
And so a lot of fans are assuming this character, using imagery that evokes Doomsday and Ultraman, kind of sending the message to the fans. This guy is as powerful as Superman. Turns out he's going to be a clone of Superman. He's probably going to degenerate into a, scarred looking, white-faced, like Bizarro type Superman.
Okay.
But the fact is that gives you the opportunity to have Superman fighting someone who is the same power level as him. In and of itself, that storyline is good. I can deal with that. But based on what this article is saying, I wanted to do this to represent our country. Damn it. Get the hell away from the politics. This is what's destroying Hollywood. If you people haven't figured that out yet, you're too stupid to function. Real quick, I want to say hi. I see we've got some latecomers here. We got Kuhn Matoyer, welcome. We've got Joshua V. I didn't see you earlier. You might have been here. And Dadman Walking, welcome. Good to see you.
Yeah. This movie will have the Authority. Well, we know that he's talked about bringing the Authority into the DC universe, so I don't know if it's going to happen here or I don't know. But let's see. There's much riding on Superman, which arrives July 11th. There is a lot more. The studio is riding on this movie because they've been doing hot. Discovery CEO David Zaslav hired them as a mandate to reinvent DC. So this was James Gunn and Superman. Thus, the team is already doing everything it can to build excitement, including the early reception with the press. That also includes stars David Cornsweet, Rachel Brosnahan, and Nicholas Hoult. So there we go.
Again, the casting is, I think, spot on. I haven't, other than, Perry Black, I haven't heard anyone have a problem with any of the casting that they've chosen for this film.
But I did want to bring up a point. He makes a point about Lex Luthor. A hero is only as interesting as villain. Holt said the script that Gunn presented Lex Luthor he believes audiences may relate to. Even though you perhaps don't agree with his process, there's an element where you can understand on some level where he's coming from and why perhaps he's pushing as his ideology is perhaps better for humanity, says Holt. I'm not quite sure what that's about.
Interesting. What Darth Plato says. So Superman trailer got the Passion of the Christ treatment, beat the crap out of the main character. It's funny you say that because one of the storylines in their Monster Commando Creature
Commandos, yes.
Was some character giving Amanda Waller a view of the future, and it was all of the Justice League up, dead up on pikes, a la like Vlad the Impaler, with the exception of Superman. Superman was in the center and he was crucified. That's a bit on the nose.
Yeah. Really?
I am getting tired of this Superman as Christ figure.
No, he doesn't see himself that way, and
he certainly does not.
No.
And nobody should be. He'd be the first one to say no. He even did that in I don't remember which one of the movies it was. Christopher Reeve says something about, we owe you a great debt, Superman. You don't owe me anything. I'm just one of the team or whatever.
We're all on the same team. Yes.
We're all on the same team. Yeah.
Which I think is the point. We all need. He just has powers. That's what he has.
Yeah. I can do more, so I do more.
Yes.
But that doesn't make me better.
So let's go to the next article, which is because we got a few of these. Look at this.
I dropped it, and this one was.
Oh, you already dropped it. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, this one ties directly into what we were talking about. Now, I have to admit, this one kind of flew over my head when I saw it because I am not the anime guy. Okay. You are.
No. So here's the thing. Brandon is the anime guy. No,
he's literally the anime guy.
Here's the deal. I know some things about anime. I used to argue that no one's an expert on anime because, including people that make it, probably. I used to argue because there's always stuff in anime that I'm not going to understand. And to be fair, I was never a watcher of Dragon Ball Z. But let's read this article. As Superman crashes to a snowy Earth in today's trailer for Superman, we see a bloodied Man of Steel looking almost broken. In another shot, Superman is getting trash thrown at him by a slew of people. Not exactly the traditional image we're used to for a guy who saves lives. There's a big symbolism behind what depicts writer and director James Gunn. We do have a battered Superman at the beginning of this, and I think this is our country. Yeah, we heard that already. One of the overarching themes in the reboot of the DC superhero on the big screen for Gunn is that it's a movie about kindness. It's a movie about being good. Now that in and of itself, I'm for. I think that's what this Superman. I think that goes in line with Superman, but I believe in the goodness of human beings, and I believe that most people in the country, we already talked about that, ideological beliefs. Part of me thinks, too, I hate to say this, I'm being very cynical here. Remember, people often said about when Star Wars came out, how the country had just gotten through Vietnam, and people were down in the dumps because things were not going right for the country. And then Star Wars comes out, which was this big feel good. The good guys win, they blow up the Death Star, and audiences resonated. And part of me wonders how in this days we've had some very nasty political fights over the last few years, and I don't know if this is their way of saying, "Oh, here's your feel good movie to go see." And you can forget about all that. I don't know.
If he had just kept his mouth shut and not said that.
Yeah, I believe in the goodness of human beings. And
this is the point that a lot of people have made about things like Star Trek and all these other things that going back, it was very clear there was some sort of sociological message there, socio-political. But what that message was up to you. It wasn't for us to show it to you and say, now what I meant by this was blah, 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 blah. It was the death of the author. I've given you the symbolism, you project onto it whatever you think is appropriate. If, for example, I were to myself look at the allegory of Superman being broken and decide that it was symbolic of our nation and what we've been through and so forth, That's fine. And then so the other side could say the same thing, and we'd probably both be right. But when James Gunn tells us that's what it means, now he's preaching.
Yeah, that's what I have a problem with. If you just
other
left it alone.
thing is, another aspect that could have been projected onto this is this character is beaten and bruised because DC has treated this character that way.
Oh,
and it has
the
been
comics, certainly, yes.
The comics and the movies.
And the movies, yeah, but yeah, and it's just...
when I saw that scene where Superman, someone throws a I don't know if it was an empty can or a cup. And
no, it was a rock. In this trailer, it's a rock. He's throwing like a brick or something at his head.
I honestly was like, okay, so are you like kind of canonizing some aspects of Man of Steel? And are you going to then deal with those? Because one of the things that I've said repeatedly about Man of Steel was you went from a movie where he's responsible for the destruction of Metropolis. He brought his problems there, destroyed it, killed all these people, or failed to save them. Nobody has a reason to like him. And then suddenly, everyone thinks he's the greatest thing. They erect a statue to him, and it's so sad when he dies.
Makes no sense.
That made zero sense. Whereas if they had, shown some, I mean, even the first even Christopher Reeve demonstrated that. We got a whole montage of him arriving in Metropolis and saving a cat from a tree and stopping a bank robber and, stopping the guys that are getting away from the cops.
Stopping Lex Luthor, a human.
And nobody got hurt.
Yes.
And so when you then have him as the hero of the city and everyone loves him, that makes sense. And if then you have the Superman 2 story where Metropolis is getting trashed by the Kryptonians, then you have the opportunity for that scene from Spider-Man where the New Yorkers see Spider-Man getting beaten and going, hey, this is New York. This is our city. You got to go through us to get to him. And they all know that this supervillain could trounce them, but they don't care because they're inspired by their hero. You could have had that same thing happening in your Man of Steel, which was supposed to reflect the story that was already done in Superman 2, and they blew it. Again, always putting the end of the story in front. That's how not Bryan Singer. That's how
that was another Superman director.
What's his name? Zack Snyder. That's what Zack Snyder always did. This is where I want to get to, so I'm going to tell that story right now. No, you didn't earn it. You haven't built up to that narrative.
This is the problem. He was hiding out. He didn't even show up as Superman until the Kryptonians show up. So as far as the people on Earth go, he's just another problem from space.
Right. Exactly.
They have no reason instead of seeing him as maybe
and how did Clark deal with it in Superman 2? When he realized, as soon as he realizes people are in danger, he disengages.
Takes them out of...
What do they call him? A coward. He's a coward.
No.
And in retrospect, the civilians realize what happened. They realize, oh my gosh, he just saved our lives.
Yeah, he's trying to lead them out of the city.
Yeah.
To a place where people are going to get hurt. Yes.
And so that's why I always got so angry at the Snyder Bros, who were all like, well, he didn't have a choice. He didn't have a choice. I don't know. Christopher Reeve Superman did, and he did just fine.
Yeah. Back in the article later goes on to say, back in 2018, Gunn came under fire in social media by right-wing commentator Mike Cernovich, who went after the director for his controversial years-old jokes about a word I'm not going to say on air. It's revolves around harming children. I did see some of these tweets. These were jokes in very poor taste. I think it was edgy humor to impress his friends. This does not mean that I think he endorses that type of behavior. I'm not going to go there with James Gunn. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt there. And to be fair, I think this was kind of a cancellation. I think he did that because the filmmaker was very an outspoken critic of then President Donald Trump at the time. Gunn's remarks prompted Disney to initially cut ties. And remember, Disney cut him loose. Remember that? on the third Guardians movie until the director was reinstated due to overwhelming support from industry colleagues. My theory was, and I remember at the time, I think that Gunn was going to take over Marvel after Endgame. Like he was going to be the new Kevin Feige, the big producer over there. And because of this incident that happened, that didn't happen. I think he was one supposed to be taking over Marvel.
Yeah.
I think I think then DC snatched him up because, you know, new management, and they figured we'll take this guy because he's going to be the
I am not going to completely piss all over him. He's great at what he does.
Yes.
I loved Guardians of the Galaxy, so putting him in charge of the Suicide Squad made sense.
Or a Justice League International would make sense. Yeah,
absolutely. If they were to do that, there's still no indication they're going to, but if they were going to do that, he would be perfect for that. And this series that they're going to do, the Green Lantern Corps. That's another one that makes perfect sense for James Gunn.
Yeah.
I've said this all along, though. I don't think Superman is the thing for him. Matt Inouye says whether they handle this well remains to be seen. I'm just not to assume it's going to be bad. That's fine, Matt Inouye. You can be hopeful.
Yes,
that's up to you. But I have seen this stuff for so long. I have zero reason to trust these morons. I have seen these mistakes over and over again. I've seen the signs, and unfortunately, I tend to be right. I'm not Nostradamus, but I see history repeat itself.
Okay.
And when it does, I'm sorry. You're going to have to say I was right.
Anyway. I didn't get to the next article. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Hold on.
I had it up though.
Where? Oh, did I boomer this?
Yeah, no.
Oh, the non-proposed. Okay, I got it confused. I didn't put it up. Okay, you did put it up. And Matt Inouye, I'm going to say this. You can, like I said at the beginning of this stream, you know, you can think it's going to be good. You can think it's going to be bad. We're not going to know really till the movie comes out.
I am calling the balls and the strikes as I see them. Right. I like the introduction of Crypto. I don't like a huge ensemble cast in a Superman movie.
Okay.
I like the idea of Superman being up against something that's as strong as he is, that is a challenge. I don't like the director coming out and saying this represents our country and getting political with it.
Anyway.
Right?
Yes, that's true. And I want to apologize. I didn't actually read from the article I was supposed to read from. That was from the prior article. Let's get to
because the whole point for this one was the whole Yamcha thing. And I'm like,
I'm
sorry. You haven't even told me yet what this Yamcha is. I don't know what it is.
Okay, let's start over again. Nobody leave, please. Okay. Anyway, Superman's Yamcha pose says everything you need to know about David Corenswet's Man of Steel. The Superman trailer depicts the iconic DC hero in a Yamcha pose, and it perfectly demonstrates the direction of David Corenswet's Superman. The trailer for Superman 2025 introduces the DCU's new Man of Steel. Amid the action and drama, Superman is seen lying in the Yamcha, if I'm saying this correctly, pose. This moment is
all we have to go by is the anglicized way that they've written this. Obviously, they didn't write it in kanji, so all we could do is pronounce it the way it's written in English.
So this moment isn't just a visual Easter egg for anime enthusiasts, but a powerful statement about the direction Corenswet Superman is heading. The DCU Superman is the first film in James Gunn's revamped DC universe, commencing with the cinematic arm, Chapter 1, Gods and Monsters. Gunn has promised a Superman who embodies hope, compassion, and relatability while exploring what it means to be a hero in today's world. Unlike the stoic, godlike portrayal of Superman in some previous iterations, Corenswet's Clark Kent aims to reconnect the character with his roots as a symbol of optimism and perseverance. Superman is often criticized for being too powerful, too perfect, therefore difficult to relate to. However, the DCU Superman trailer confronts this perception head on, opening with a moment of vulnerability, of complete vulnerability in the first seconds of the trailer. Superman bleeds. Not only that, but he mimics a famous death pose and is ultimately saved by Crypto, his dog. This sequence signals that the film isn't just more Superman's physical strength, but his weakness as well. Superman's adorable dog Crypto is making his action big screen debut, so here's how powerful DC Universe's Superdog is compared to the Man of Steel. This depiction of weakness is... Oh, sorry. Okay. This depiction of weakness is more than a storytelling device. It's a statement of Superman's willingness to face Failure, pain, and even death elevates him as a symbol of resilience. By showing him as most vulnerable, the film reminds audiences that the true strength isn't about being impervious, but about standing back after being knocked down. It's a bold choice that redefines the Man of Steel, emphasizing his humanity in ways that haven't been explored. It signals that Superman is poised to deliver a deeply personal and emotionally resonant take on the classic hero. Now, this is just this one article. People must have pointed out that this is reminiscent of one of the characters from Dragon Ball Z that gets knocked down into this pose. Now, it's funny, I sent you that epic rap battles of history with the Goku versus Superman, which is kind of funny because they're sort of both superheroes in their own cultures, But
the other thing too is, in reading this article, it brings up Tub Thumping by Chubbawamba, right? I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never going to keep me down. And honestly, if that's really all this was, if that was the narrative point of this, I would say, great. That's good storytelling. That's what a hero does, right? But as soon as you say, oh, but this is, socio-political, this is our country and blah, 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 blah. Okay, now you've lost me. You've taken me out of good narrative and you've brought us back to everything that's been wrong with Hollywood for the past.
This is marketing. This is all marketing.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. It's a Dragon Ball Z character that is mean for getting his butt kicked a lot. And this is, if that's what they're intending to do with this movie, having Superman get his butt kicked a lot, that's a problem. And I'll explain to you why. Yeah. Justice League, the famous Justice League cartoon that was made by the people that made Batman and Superman animated series, Bruce Timm, they were doing an interview with him on Justice League season 1, and they said, which episode do people hate the most? And they said War World people hated the most. And he basically made a point that during this season, because they didn't want Superman upstaging the other superheroes, they would have him get kind of beaten around a lot by the supervillains or stuff, right? And they said that got the Superman fans really angry because they want to see. And I think they cleaned that up with season 2, giving Superman doing a couple of Superman centered stories where he saves the day instead of kind of weakening him and making him look kind of not doing as much in season 1. And if that's what they're doing here, and I'm worried if they have him getting beaten down, maybe even in reference to these other superheroes that show up in the film to make them on more even keel, this is a terrible mistake. But again, it's all just speculation on my part. But yeah,
some of the best superhero some of the best Superman stories have been the ones where he's outclassed, right? Yeah. Where he's in a situation where he should not be able to win. When he's fighting 3 Kryptonian villains, or right, who
fighting
are
Brainiac or something like that. Yeah,
each as powerful as he is.
Yeah,
when he is fighting Doomsday, which, let's just be honest, it is the Hulk put into the DC universe. He comes back more powerful each time. You can't defeat something that gets stronger and stronger each time unless you go so far as to take both of yourself out with him, right?
Yeah.
He always has a solution, right? He thinks outside the box. Well, I can't defeat 3 Kryptonian villains with brute strength. It's 3-1. I don't have 3 times the strength, but I can outsmart them. I can use their arrogance against them and depower them. And I win.
This is why we love Superman.
And this is how Superman wins every time. It's not necessarily even because of his powers. Maybe he loses his superpowers. Maybe there's a kryptonite situation or red sun or whatever. So he goes into his Fortress of Solitude and he gets a super suit, or he gets the supermobile, or he finds some way to keep fighting even when he should not be able to win.
But he does. He prevails.
Even Hackman's Luthor said, "Thank God," when Superman. Yeah, because he realized, oh crap, I'm in trouble. And in fact, I thought of that when I was watching that. Was it The Reign of the Supermen?
I don't know.
Or it was one of the animated features where Lex realized we're effed and we need Superman. Even though he's my enemy and I don't like him. I need to live to fight another day, and if that means Superman, okay.
Well, that'd be something they could do in this movie. If in some bizarre scenario you'd have to have Lex Luthor. Oh, I think that was in the one with the Parasite where Superman goes to Lex Luthor. Remember?
Oh yeah. That's right.
Because they have to work together to stop the Parasite, which I thought was interesting. But
no, it was. I think it was.
It might have been a different one. I don't.
Whichever one it was, where the bad guy was using technology from Apocalypse to turn other people into NPC.
Oh,
like robotic, like.
I don't think I saw that one.
Okay.
I think you've seen something I haven't seen.
Yeah, possibly.
But I don't know. Be very careful about showing Superman.
I think it was Reign of the Superman.
Okay.
You should check it out. I think it's on
it's
one of the
probably on
services.
Max. It's probably on Max.
It wasn't OMAC, but they were OMAC-like characters that were Darkseid's boombox technology, and it had to do with Hank Henshaw working in conjunction with Darkseid is what it was. Yeah, it was the Reign of the Superman animated feature is what it was.
And now let's go. Is this the last one?
That was the last Superman one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. This is the scene where the guy throws the rock at the back of his head. Now, I remember I was talking with Al on Friday before the stream. He was making a point that he didn't quite like the uniform. I think the reason it looks dirty here, though, I think he's been through a battle or something.
Yeah. It's very clear.
So
look at his face. I mean, he's my problem with the suit is twofold. Well, three, I suppose. I don't like the Kingdom Come
the symbol, right?
That's another
that I didn't
topic
like
for another time. But what that means, implies, and what it's leading up to, I have a problem with. I have a problem with the collar because it comes off very authoritarian. You shouldn't have that collar on him. It should be off of his neck a little bit more. Other people have pointed out that he looks like he's kind of swimming in that outfit. If you're going to have a suit like that, let it be flattering, kind of like I mean, that's one area where the Snyder era super suit, worked better because it made him look muscular, made him look trim and so forth. My other concern, this is a prediction that I have. I think it's great that he's got the briefs back. Don't get used to him because I think that this is going to be the prototype suit, and then next movie he's going to change the outfit and he's not going to have the briefs again. It's going to be him reinventing Superman, and it's the time for the briefs is over with. That's my prediction. What Gunn's going to do?
Well, the suit's probably going to get destroyed by the end of the movie from the looks of it. So
possibly, possibly a good.
You want to post the link to the next story though? This is the last one. Yeah, this is going to be the This is what I'll say. Not BioWare on the other one.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I miss one for Superman?
Maybe you didn't, and I missed.
Oh yeah, no, I'm sorry. I did. I did.
It's all right.
I did. Yeah, ignore that I just.
But this is where I'm going to leave it because Gunn is assuring us that it's not that this movie is not what we think it is. Right? Is that what he's saying? So yeah. James Gunn, Superman takes flight. No universe building, Top Gun style action, and why the trunks won out. So on the surface, I like all of that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, again, but the proof is in the pudding, right? Let's dig into it a little bit.
With just days to go before the worldwide launch of the first teaser trailer, the Wrap visited the Cleveland set of Superman this past June, where director James Gunn was battling the elements to bring his vision of DC's Boy Scout to life. It's funny they mentioned the word Boy Scout, as that organization doesn't really exist in that name anymore.
Yeah, exactly. They pretty much got deconstructed.
Yep.
And are defunct now.
Between takes, Gunn sat with a bunch of reporters and revealed that his approach to the Man of Steel, one that focuses solely on Superman's story without getting bogged down in larger universe building. Okay, well, so he says zero, Gunn emphatically stated, when asked how much of the movie is dedicated to setting up other characters or future DC projects. I mean, maybe two little things, two moments. Basically, it's something there just to set up something else. It.
But pause that for a second. Well, first, using that kind of language,
I know
that's not real smart when you're promoting a Superman movie.
Yes.
Number two, then you're sending completely the wrong message with this teaser trailer, because that's all this trailer was universe building.
Anyway, it goes on to say, for Gunn, this philosophy extends beyond just this film. Everything needs to stand by itself. I don't want somebody to have to go see this movie and be relying on anything else, Gunn said. If this sets up stuff in Peacemaker, which it does, then that's great. But if that is never, ever, ever with me going to be something that I'm going to sacrifice even a moment or a beat in the story, especially a movie. Gunn added, with TV, you've got a little bit more leniency to be able to do that, but in a movie, every beat has to be in there for the movie itself. The film starts with Superman already established in this world with existing relationship with both Lois Lane and Lex Luthor. We just start in the middle of the action, Gunn said. Superman is already existing. Lois and Clark already know each other. Lex hates Superman's guts from the beginning, although they don't know each other personally. So all this is fine, what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Gunn's vision for the film draws from various influences while maintaining its own identity. All previous DC media influenced me, Gunn said. I think that obviously the original Donner movie influenced me, but there's also a lot of things that this isn't. Like, I'm not going to make a Donner type movie. It's very different from that. Gunn specifically cited All-Star Superman as a major comic book influence. I do like All-Star Superman, noting its Silver Age feel. Yeah,
that has been part of the promotion ever since the beginning. The very first announcement that he was going to be doing this used that famous promotional still from All-Star
Superman, right?
And it implied at the time, this is somebody who understands Superman. I also agree with the idea of, yes, draw on some inspiration from the Donnerverse, but don't slovenly follow it, because there are good things from all the other incarnations of Superman that you should be drawing on. Right. Lois and Clark. Actually, that's another, you know what? I will give another positive to the trailer that we didn't mention, especially since we talked about Lois and Clark earlier. I said Lois and Clark focused on the relationship between Lois and Clark, and the romance, the building of the relationship,
very important,
leading up to their marriage. I got that from this teaser trailer, their relationship. It was clearly a couple in love. I don't know if they're married or not. If they're not married, it seems clear they're leading up to a marriage.
Okay.
You know,
that's all good. Yeah, that's all good. I saw them doing kind of a dance thing in their apartment or whatever. That was nice.
There was like 3 different scenes of them kissing. You know, one of which was them rising up into the sky kissing, which, you know, not done so well in Bryan Singer's, but at least he tried. Done much better in several of the Donner era films. Definitely done well in Lois and Clark.
Yeah. And it says that he's taking inspiration from Top Gun Maverick. They're using drones to capture Superman's flight scenes.
Oh, good.
Maybe that's what all the drones are flying about.
That's maybe what we've been seeing in New Jersey. Filming some pickup shots for Superman.
Yeah, okay. Let's see here. The tone of the film sets itself apart from Gunn's previous superhero outings. It's humorous, but it's certainly not as comic or as much comedy as either Suicide Squad or Guardians. I have to say, I watched...
hopefully Superman 3.
I watched this Suicide Squad once. I've never had the desire to watch it again.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's plenty of humor in it. People like Rachel Brosnahan are so funny, and David Cornsman is very funny as well. And there's humor in it, but it's trying to create something that is grounded and something that... But also it's an incredibly fanciful world. It's fantasy. That's good. I often argued that I thought when they were going to do their Superman movie that they should have gone the opposite route of the Dark Knight. Instead of being rooted in realism, they should go for like a fantasy, like a fantasy Metropolis World of Tomorrow type world. But
I agree.
One of the most debated aspects of the production was Superman's DCU costume, specifically whether it included the classic trunks. Gunn, who was on the No Trunks team for a long time changed his mind after conversation with Star Cornsweat. David said something to me that really affected me, Gunn said. Superman wants kids to not be afraid of him. He's an alien. He's this incredibly powerful, could be considered scary individual, and he wants people to like him. He wants to be a symbol of hope and positivity, so he dresses like a professional wrestler. He dresses in a way that makes people unafraid of him, that shows that. That was the actor telling this to Gunn.
Yeah. So that does a couple things for me. First, it kind of elevates Corn Sweat. See, that's the way it's spelled. It's not literally corn sweat. It's corn
sweat. Yes,
which isn't much better, but let's try to pronounce it the way it's spelled. It does elevate him a little bit with the geek cred, kind of on par with who's the guy that played Man of Steel?
In the old days, actors used to pick fake names for themselves. He could have been David Armstrong. Come on.
Yeah, good point. That's
David Armstrong as Superman.
The big guy that previously played Superman, that's now
Henry Cavill.
Henry Cavill, thank you.
That was fine. That was fine. That was normal.
Definitely somebody who understood the character maybe better than the people making the show. Same thing was true with The Witcher.
That's the
Looks
problem.
Like it's going to be the
Cavill.
same
He's
thing.
getting stuck on these things where.
Yeah.
And I think he eventually got let go from The Witcher over his complaints, probably. Yeah.
Let go or quit.
Or quit. One or the other. They didn't say
what. Either way, he can hold his head high in the in fandom over that.
Okay. Yes.
And I do feel that if this is true, then great on you.
Corn Sweat,
because clearly you understood something about the character that James Gunn didn't. But again, I do feel like that tells you where James Gunn's head is on this and why I think that's not gonna last, those briefs.
Okay, so Corn Sweat and Brosnan's edition tapes have arrived, and I saw both of those, and I went, we're going to be okay. The chemistry test proved decisive. So they have good chemistry. That's good. And your romantic leads, they have good chemistry with each other on set. So
everything I saw in that trailer implied that, so yeah, I'm with you.
So this is where I'm at with this. I'm really split because there are things in the trailer I like and other things in the trailer I don't like. And but I don't want a Superman where I like half the movie. I want to like the whole movie, and that's what I'm worried about.
And therein lies the other problem. This has to be a knock it out of the park. And honestly, this trailer needed to be that, and it hasn't.
No.
The fact that I see some positive things here, but I got a lot of warning bells too. That's not good. That is not where they need to be right now.
Superman 3 was so bad, even Richard Pryor couldn't save it. He was funny in it though, but yeah.
I will say this. I read I have the DC comic adaptation of all of the movies. And their adaptation of Superman 3 was, if it had been filmed that way, would have been way better. The Gus Gorman character was a little bit more serious, a little bit more, actually, in a lot of ways, even a little bit more sympathetic, even though he was less humorous. And honestly, that's a story for another day. But Superman 3 could have been a much better movie if they had not second guessed themselves.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's it. This was the big Superman trailer reveal, and we will keep covering it as time goes on when we learn more about this movie.